Welcome to another TIRIAS podcast. I'm Jim McGregor, one of the principal analysts at TIRIAS Research, and I'm joined today by my son, Damian McGregor, who's also our software developer, our system validation tester, our website developer. Did I miss anything?
I pick up the slack.
Well, we came up to Las Vegas for the SEMA show. This is specially parts for automotive. Question, especially aftermarket parts. So the question is, why are tech analysts at a car show? Well, because the automotive is kind of the center of the IoT universe. It's using all the latest technology. You know, it may take a little while before it uses it, but they're integrating technology very quickly, from the latest sensors to communications to even AI. So we came up here to kind of see how technology is proliferating through the ecosystem, because nothing's ever black and white. We tend to think that it goes internal combustion engine, EVs, AVs, electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles. It doesn't. It's going to be a wide range. So let's start with that. First off, what are your first impressions by what I would call probably the world's largest custom car show?
Well, engineers like to monkey with things and they like to figure out new solutions and innovate, and cars are just fun to mess around with. So obviously engineers like to play around with cars and come up with new technologies. And we actually saw that at the convention. There were specifically a retired software engineer who had built a couple of successful companies already, decided he didn't have anything to work on, and he wanted to manufacture an electric vehicle solution for classic and custom cars. That was Elkington.
Elkington Electric. Very impressive. And just from my perspective, the fact that I came up here 3 years ago, and there were a lot of vendors offering, custom chassis with the electric batteries, or offering different gearboxes, or offering, individual components, as well as the system builders, the auto builders that would build these custom solutions for you. Most of them seem to have kind of gone by the wayside. At least they're not here. However, I kind of see this transition from going from this piecemeal solution to going to a complete platform. You mentioned Elkington. Elkington not only offers, they built two chassis, one for trucks, one for cars. You can have one motor or two motors, so you can have all-wheel drive. They built their own battery packs. They built their own motors, their own VCU, their own software. So they've built an entire platform, and it is completely customizable. And we're not just talking about driving controls, but we're talking about braking. We're talking electric braking. We're talking about electric steering. We're talking about air conditioning. Matter of fact, what they did was they took a first-generation Ford Bronco to put on their truck chassis. And the interesting thing is, rather than going and get an old one, they went to these aftermarket manufacturers that have the rights, like Classic Industries and stuff, and bought all the components and built a brand new first generation Ford Bronco with some of the coolest interior.
Which is kind of an interesting point of what we're seeing here is about 20 years ago, it was getting harder and harder to find some of these classic cars and to get parts for these classic cars. But now we're kind of seeing the opposite of that, where it's easier and easier to get aftermarket parts. And it's getting so easy that companies are actually building complete cars out of these aftermarket parts.
Well, and as you noted when we were walking by some of the CNC machines, with these 2D and 3D CNC capabilities, they can pretty much manufacture or fabricate any part that they need, any physical part that they need.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where you don't have to go out and find an original. You can pretty much kit build whatever you want, or you can print the parts that you need to build the car that you want.
So yeah, so very, very impressive. There were a couple of other companies. There was Customings, which was doing custom parts now for electric vehicles. It's interesting because they were showing off a Tesla with air suspension. There was Formosa EV that also offers a custom platform. They don't go all the way to the chassis like Elkington did, but they offer a programmable VCU with the batteries, with customizable wire harnesses. So you tell them what types of connectors you need and how long you need for that particular vehicle, or obviously they can tell you some of their databases. And you get something that is really, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, this is awesome because, I mean, you're not starting from scratch. You're not doing all this, configuration, especially from a hardware and software, electronics and software perspective. But obviously, there's still some fabrication involved.
But they also offer a software application to help you with the installation process.
Yeah.
And they advertise that within 5 to 10 minutes, you can have the basic systems installed and connected and have the engine turning and running. Not fully connected, but you can have it set up and started within 5 to 10 minutes.
That's impressive. So, unfortunately, like I said, we're seeing some of, I think, the standard trends that we're seeing in the greater automotive industry. We're seeing fewer or less interest in EVs and less interest in AVs, and that's going to take time, I think. But still, the level of innovation and the fact that they're moving from these individual components to complete systems, and systems built by these vendors, not just piecemeal from all over the industry, it was very impressive. So, what was your favorite thing at the show?
Probably the Firebirds.
There were a lot of Pontiac Firebirds, second gen Firebirds.
Yeah, some of them were kind of pieced together, and some of them were classics.
There was one that the only way I could describe it was Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Although it didn't look like it. It was actually a late 80s Firebird on a truck chassis. Didn't look like it. With a custom high performance engine, custom interior and everything else, but you still identified it as a Firebird. But, despite that, there were a lot of, obviously this is a customized show and some of the cars are just incredible. Ironically, the most popular vehicle at the show was...
Oh, the Cybertruck. Yeah. Tesla was heavily featured at this convention.
I think it was just to pull people in because a lot of them weren't customized beyond the wrap on the exterior.
Well,
but
I don't know. I just kept seeing these big silver robots with a red I-beam going back and forth. And I don't know why that's so attractive. That's kind of terrifying.
Kind of reminds you of Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly. The Cylons are here.
And they're headed up by Elon. Yep. Lord help us.
The toasters have control now. We should just give up.
So no, but it's great to see because obviously this transition to EVs and AVs isn't just black and white. There's going to be a lot of customization. The industry is reacting to innovation and technology, not just electronics and software, but hydraulics, fuel dynamics, materials technology. It's incredible to see what, basically, if you can think of it, there's probably a gearhead out there that will build it for you. And we are gearheads. What's your car?
1978 T-Top Formula Firebird.
And mine's a 1978 Z28. So if you see them on the road, I'm sorry, but they were built to go fast. So any other comments? No, I think that pretty much covers it. Only thing I'd like to say is SEMA, while it's not necessarily a, quote, technology show, it is still the coolest show on the planet. You've got fast cars, you've got big trucks, you've got racing demos, you've got everything here.
Absolutely.
It's impressive. So I hope we get to continue coming to the show, and I hope there's more interest, as we go forward towards EV technology and more solutions. The one thing I will say is, when I came here in 2001, I don't think you could do a conversion for under $100,000. The cost of the batteries, and everyone was using the new Borg-Warner motor that had just been introduced, and everything else, expensive. It's still expensive, but it's coming down. I mean, Elkington mentioned that, you could probably do one of these conversions for anywhere from $40,000 on up. That's reasonable, especially if you're looking at these classic vehicles. So, very impressed. Still a fun show to see. Glad to be here, and hopefully we keep coming back.
Yeah, I hope so.
So thank you, Damian, and thank you for joining us. If you have any other comments about this or ideas for future podcasts, please reach out to us. You can reach out to myself, Jim, at TIRIASresearch.com, Damian, D-A-M-I-A-N, at TIRIASresearch.com. That's T-I-R-I-A-S research.com. Or my colleagues, Francis Sideco. That's FRANCIS. Make sure I spelled that right. TIRIASresearch.com. He's going to kill me when he sees this. As well as, anybody else that's on our website. So thank you very much for joining us, and have a great weekend.